Welcome back to Chasing Five. This is Melanie, and today I'm going to talk about our plans that we have now that our mortgage is paid off. The mortgage is paid, and we're feeling pretty pumped about how paying extra and finally knocking out the rest of the balance didn't really change the way that we lived. It made us more mindful of what we were spending, which made it easier to save, but overall, we just trimmed the budget and started tracking our food and money. Knowing that we can make great strides by taking those simple steps has really motivated us to be bolder in our quest for financial freedom. So, what do we have planned next? Well, we think it's time to dive deeper into real estate. We have one rental property, and now that the mortgage is paid off for our home, our goal is to pick up at least 2 additional rental properties in 2022. This should be doable because we don't have a mortgage on the rental and we don't have a mortgage on our home. So we have a lot of extra money that we can put toward picking up rentals. Now, you may be thinking the housing market is crazy right now. What is she even talking about? She's not going to be able to find any deals. While it's true that deals are hard to find, we still think there are some out there. We've spotted a few areas in the Midwest and South Central regions of the United States that we think will see significant population growth over the next 10 years. Now, you may be wondering, why do I think that? Well, as someone who's lived in the Midwest and the Mountain West, I see some reasons why people may be shifting. So currently we live in the Mountain West, and it has been the destination for a lot of people that lived on the East and West Coast and Midwesterners. I am one of those people who saw how great the economy was in Utah, and I ended up leaving Michigan starting over back in 2010. Greatest decision I've ever made, by the way. I didn't want to leave all my family and friends, but there really was no choice. The economy was not good in Michigan, so I left. Now I live in a place where things are great. I mean, I love Utah. It's fantastic. But my small city is becoming a big city. All of the fields are being built on, and some of the charm of our town is being lost because we have real estate developers building on every stretch of land. They just tore down an orchard that we used to love to walk by, like it was just left over from this whole area used to be orchards. And they just tore it down, and they're building like something like 6 houses there. And this was a place where there was one house, and then they had orchard behind it. So that's what's happening in my town, and I feel like it's becoming a little bit of a concrete jungle. So when I see all the trees being torn down and things like that, it does kind of make me long for a mid-sized Midwestern town. We also were disappointed by our garden this past year. Due to extreme drought and really poor weather conditions, we did not get the yields that we have gotten the previous 3 years. So... And also, the weather was just different this past summer. We have strong winds at night that come out of the canyons, but this was different. It was like our plants were being blown all over constantly. The soil isn't good here, but it was even worse over the summer. I mean, like it gets to the point where it's so compact, like you can't really dig in it. Like it's that hard. And even though, obviously we were watching our water because it was such a major drought, we didn't want to overwater, and we didn't. But watering your plants without getting any rain to supplement that, it doesn't mitigate what's going to happen to your plants. So we ended up not really getting a decent yield compared to what we've gotten in the past. And here we are at the end of November, and today feels like a late spring day. Sometimes at night I'll head outside and I'm expecting that little chill in the air, and it's just not there. It's still that warm undertone of air, and it's going to be December in a few days. So I think that it's safe to say that something is changing. As the West warms and runs out of water and burns from forest fires every summer, I believe there will be some reverse migration back to places where homes are cheaper, there's land and water, and with the increase of remote work, you'll be able to find a nice tract of land like in, say, Nebraska with a large, elegant Victorian home for half the price of what you pay in the Mountain West for new houses that have kind of been slapped up over the past few years and they all look the same. So I think that there are some opportunities for growth back east, and we want to be a part of that. The first step we'll be taking toward building our rental empire is doing a fiscal fast. Our plan is to test it out a little bit before the beginning of the year. I'm really big on the winter solstice and the summer solstice. Around those times, I like to really start getting prepared for the next season. And I'm big on New Year's resolutions too. The good news is that when I make a resolution, I really work at it. So I'm not someone who just sets them up and nothing ever happens with them. But I usually take the winter solstice to kind of sort out the year. What did I do this year? Where was I successful? Where did I fail? Where could I be better? And I usually just do it for my writing business and my personal life. But now I'm going to do it for our finances as well. I mean, it just makes sense, right? So on the winter solstice, I will be really like just meditating on where do we want to be by the winter solstice next year. And I think that might be a good day where we do a little bit of the fiscal fast and maybe even, a fast, just an all around fast, just clearing out the old, getting ready for the new. And so we're going to test out the fiscal fast a little bit in December, but on January 1st, we will be starting a 30-day period where we only spend money for the bare necessities. That means gas for trips to work for my husband, fresh fruits and veggies for recipes based on food that we already have here, and any emergencies that come up. Other than that, we won't be spending money. Our plan is to have a 25% down payment we can use to buy a rental property by March. We also will take some equity out of the rental we own and use it for a second rental property. Having some money for upgrades is another priority, and the fiscal fast in January will help us acquire that extra money for potential improvement projects for the rentals. The other reason we're doing the fiscal fast is because we have so much food. It's good to be stocked up, but we have enough food for about a year, maybe more. We want to take that down to about 6 months worth of food because we have a garden every year. We stock up during certain times of the year. So we need to clean out some of that. So we'll eat the old stuff and make room for the new. So we'll do a fiscal fast in January, but we're also going to do another one in July, right before we harvest the garden so that we can clear out some of our food then too. This will clear up space for canning and freezing. And of course, we'll save money. So it's a total win-win. Now, a fiscal fast sounds a bit daunting, and there was a real temptation when we first started talking about it to stock up before January, but that would kind of defeat the point. And like I've already said, we're already stocked up. So the desire to buy more is just this irrational fear that we don't have enough to make it through a month, which is just absolutely not true. Like I said, we could make it through several months. But there's the psychology of not spending money and not having enough, even though there's more than enough. It's like that scarcity mindset that slips in every now and then, like, oh no, what if we don't have enough? But we do. So recognizing this feeling and the fact that it has nothing to do with reality is really helpful. It makes me realize that a lot of things that I have, I don't need. My wants, they comfort me, but I don't need as much as I think. We've decided that we're stocked up and we're just going to let it ride. We're not going to go out and try to, buy more things in fear that we will need them when we are we're bursting at the seams with food. We are fine. So we are just going to let it ride out. And on January 1st, we'll start our fiscal fast. What we'll do is we'll write out a menu for the month based on what we have. So we'll do that before January hits. We also have some cash on hand, and we'll use that to buy fruits and veggies if we need. This will also be 1 month where we're not using our credit card, which kind of stinks for points because we like getting those points. And, we always take the We don't redeem them for anything except for cash. And then the cash just gets deposited into our savings account. And we pay off our credit card in full every month. But there's no denying that we spend more money when we have that card. So this will be 1 month where we just use cash. So where will we find good real estate deals? That's a great question. We are going to look at foreclosures and short sales, HUD homes, properties that might need a little work to spruce them up. All that will be on our radar. And we're kind of focusing our attention around metro areas that are experiencing growth and attracting new employers. As mentioned before, I think we will see some of these Midwestern and Southern cities become really nice, steady places to settle. So those are some of the areas that we're checking out. We will have to visit the neighborhoods where we find deals, obviously. So we're trying to find a place where we can pick up 2 houses that aren't too far from one another, like they're in the same neighborhood or at least adjacent neighborhoods or whatever. That means we'll take a trip and we'll probably spend a few days checking out the neighborhood and the town, make sure it's a good fit, and go from there. But we have to see these places. We have to be there in person to see the properties and also to get a feel for the neighborhood. Is this a neighborhood where maybe it's not, it's up and coming? Maybe it's in it's kind of like on the cusp of becoming that neighborhood that everybody wants to move into, but it's not going to be there for 5 years. So that's really what we're looking for. I also am considering getting my real estate license, which is something that I've considered in the past. The real estate market is really fascinating to me, and I do have a desire to learn more. So that might be something that I'll do. And I am living in one of the hottest markets in the country, so it could be a good deal to get my real estate license. And I also know several real estate agents across the country, so that's pretty, handy. I'll be able to get some information from them. And the ones that I do know, I know them well enough to know, okay, obviously they're going to want to get a good deal. If they're, if I say, hey, we're looking for houses in this area, they're going to want to get a good deal. But I also know that they'll be fair about it. So, because I know them well enough, these aren't just like people that I barely know. But I'll be getting information from them and just looking for some hot markets, things that they may know that I don't because they're constantly researching the real estate market in their area. And possibly maybe getting my real estate license. I'm just going to leave that decision for later, but getting my license isn't completely out of the question. So that's what's on tap for us now that the mortgage is paid off. What was your next step after paying off your mortgage? Or if you're currently paying off your mortgage, what do you plan to do after you make that last payment? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.